The rain was coming down so hard that night that I could feel the drops hitting the camera lens. The floodlights buzzed above me, making the whole thing feel like a movie. And then he did it. Alisson, the Liverpool keeper, made that incredible last-minute save to preserve their 1-0 win against West Brom. What an insane moment. But that got me thinking about something I've always loved about football. Every team is a story and every position is a character. Imagine, if you will, a kid, your kid, maybe 10 years old, sat on the sofa watching this. They're going to have no idea what's going on. So let's take it upon ourselves to tell them the story of every role on the pitch. Let's explain what each position does, how it feels to play there, and why it matters when the stakes are at their highest. Because the thing that makes football great is that the most important moment can come from any position. It just happened to be Ali Alisson that night. But it could have been anyone. A stadium holds 60,000 people. 60,000 stories, all watching this one stage, 100 actors playing their roles. This is a football pitch. Here's where we start our story. Behind the goal line, wearing the number 1 shirt, holding the gloves, standing between the posts, the goalkeeper. It's a lonely place, being the last line of defense, making the other 10 players look like they're on holiday. You're the last man standing, the final word. In the pecking order, the center backs are the generals, the leaders. On the left side, the left center back, traditionally a strong, brave character, good in the air, capable of dominating the box, excellent at blocking shots. On the right side, the right center back, a cultured defender, elegant on the ball, able to play out from the back, keep possession ticking over. And in between them, the anchor, the sweeper, the one who reads danger, organizes the back line, and sweeps up any loose balls. Then we have the servants, the fullbacks. Their job is to track runners, stop crosses, and get up and down the touchline. On the left back, a marauding wing back, bombing forward, overlapping runs, dangerous crosses. On the right back, a shielding fullback, staying tight to his man, soaking up pressure, containing danger. And then finally, the engine room, the central midfielders. There's 2 types of these characters, the destroyer and the playmaker. The destroyer wins the ball back, breaks up attacks, and shields the back 4. The playmaker receives the ball in space, looks forward, passes forward, and dictates the tempo. The wingers operate just behind the striker. On the left winger, rapid, direct, beating his man and cutting inside onto his stronger right foot. And on the right winger, unpredictable, skillful, taking on his man and whipping in inviting crosses. And up top, the protagonist, the striker, the goal scorer, the number 9. It's a lonely existence, spending pre-match alone, doing your warm-up, knowing you're about to go into battle on your own. Then the whistle blows and suddenly you're a team. You pass to the left winger and he sends a low cross across the face of goal. You slide in at the far post to meet it, but you miss. Frustration builds as the half goes on. Chances come and go. Then, just before halftime, you find yourself one-on-one with the keeper. You round him, but he brings you down. Penalty. Here it is, your moment. 1 kick, 12 yards, the roar of the crowd deafening. You send the keeper the wrong way, and you bury it bottom corner. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you score 40 goals a season if your team don't win anything. He leads the press, wins the ball back high up the pitch, and sets the attack in motion. His teammates know that whenever he gets on the ball, something exciting is about to happen. He takes players on, he beats men, he creates chances, he scores goals, and even when he doesn't, he drags the other team all over the place. That's what makes him priceless. Yeah! Okay, so now we know the characters and we know their roles. Let me set the scene. 2 minutes added on at the end of the 90. The score's level, the stakes couldn't be higher. Who's gonna win? The hero of our story puts his hand up, he wants the ball, he calls for it, here it comes. A long, hopeful ball over the top, he wins the header and now he's in. The last man, the goalkeeper, he rounds him and now he's through. Oh my goodness. He looks up, the crowd behind him, urging him on. What a moment. And in that moment, he decides, should I go for it? Should I wait? What should I do? The best strikers know exactly what to do in these situations because they train it day in, day out. This guy, he goes for it. No hesitation, he shoots early, it's saved. The rebound falls to our hero. Can he make it 2 goals in 2 minutes? No, it's cleared off the line, it falls to our striker. Is this the moment? Will he score? No, it's saved again. What a performance from the keeper. We've got one last chance. Our striker chases the ball all the way back. Now he's got his head up. He looks up, sees his teammate making a run. He knocks it over the top. Another amazing save. The keeper gathers it. Time runs out, and so does our story. But whose story is it? Who do you think this is all about? Well, some people might say it's about the striker, the goal scorer, but think about the other roles. Without the sweeper, without the left back, without the left winger, without the playmaker, the striker wouldn't get the ball. Without the center backs, the goalkeeper wouldn't have anything to do. Without the full backs, the wingers would have nowhere to run. And without the fans, none of it would matter. Here's why the backline decides titles. Look at this graphic. This shows the average position of every player on the pitch. The thing that stands out to me is how narrow the front players are. They're so focused on attacking the middle of the goal that they leave these massive gaps out wide. This is what happens when teams push up. If you're too narrow, the opposition can exploit the space out wide. So this is where the full backs come in. Watch this clip again. As soon as the ball is worked to the byline, the full back makes a near-perfect overlapping run. He gets in behind. Now he has a choice. He could cut it back, he could pull it back, or he could cross it. But look what happens next. The striker makes a near-post run, the winger makes a far-post run, and the full back is in between them. He doesn't know where to pass it, and in that split second of hesitation, the opportunity is lost. Now watch this again, but this time the left back makes a slightly different run. He delays his run, peels off to the outside, and now he's in a perfect position. He knows the striker is going to make a near-post run, and he knows the winger is going to make a far-post run. And now he has a choice. He pulls it back for the striker, who misses. And then he has another choice. He can either put the ball in the mixer, or he can switch the play out wide. This is what a fullback should do. You see, fullbacks don't just defend. If you want to win things, you need your fullbacks to attack. Okay, so we know what every role does. We know how it feels. And we know why it matters. But here's the thing. Football is unpredictable. This is what makes it so great. I mean, remember that crazy Liverpool game? How many of those 5 goals were scored by the designated striker? None. All 5 were scored by the backline and the midfield. Any player can become a hero. Any player can have their moment. When I first started making videos, I had no idea what I was doing. But slowly but surely, with practice and persistence, I improved. And here's the thing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but now I have the confidence to try new things, experiment, and really push myself. This video was made by one person. If you like stories about football and want to hear more, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. You win or lose matches in the middle of the pitch. Welcome to part 2 of our series. If you didn't see part 1, here's your chance to catch up. But don't worry if you missed it, because this episode is totally self-contained. We'll hold your hand through every step of the way. Just like we did last time, we'll move Methodical Soccer's cinematic storytelling style and visuals, including our narrator voice, LUT color, subtitle styling, music family, pacing, and transition rules, forward from part 1 to keep things feeling cohesive. So let's jump right in. Let's continue to move into the midfield. Here are our 3 characters, a defensive midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, and a playmaker, or attacking midfielder. And here are our 2 wide midfielders, or inside forwards. Last time we said that fullbacks were like utility players, great with both offense and defense, but not specialists in either. It's the opposite here in the middle. Attacking players need passing range and vision, while defensive players need tackling ability and positioning. We like versatility in the modern game, but often you have to sacrifice something in order to improve somewhere else. Fullbacks usually aren't fast enough to be good wingers, and strikers normally lack the discipline to track back and defend. So these positions tend to be pretty specialized. The further forward you go, the less defending you do, but the more pressure you have to deal with on the ball. This makes these 3 positions very different, despite being close together. Let's start with the 6 or defensive midfielder. He's like the guardian. His primary job is to shield the defense. You want him to be strong in the tackle, good in the air, great at intercepting passes, and smart at positioning himself between his teammates and danger. Notice that he's always the deepest of the 3 central players. His passing range is limited compared to the other two central positions. Look at how narrow the passing lanes are. There aren't many good options around him. His main job is to break up attacks and start the ball moving in the right direction. Not much more than that. Of course, he'll have to make some longer switches out wide to connect play from side to side, but his specialty is short, safe passes to recycle possession quickly. Because there isn't much space for him to operate in, he has to be accurate and efficient with his distribution. And because he's so close to his own goal, he doesn't have the luxury of misplacing a pass like some of the other players. Here you see him make a well-timed interception to clear up danger. Remember what we talked about in part 1? When you take the ball away from an opponent in a dangerous area, you've won the ball back in a promising position. Now the team in red is vulnerable to a quick counterattack, but look at how our 6 clears the ball upfield with one touch. He's not even looking. That's called blind passing. Sometimes called no-look passing, it's actually quite a common thing. It's easier than you think. When you know your teammate is making a well-timed run into space, and you've got a fraction of a second before the defender can recover, you don't even have to look. Your peripheral vision is enough to pick them out. He didn't need to turn around, check for offsides, or look for any other passing options because he knew exactly where his man was going to be. Now, this isn't something that you can teach. It comes with experience. You learn where your teammates like to make their runs, and you get a feel for when they'll arrive in the box. The ball rolls off his foot, and our boy in blue is off to the races. Remember what we talked about last time? Winning the ball back in a promising position plus a numerical advantage in the attack equals goal-scoring opportunity. Now, unlike the fullbacks who stayed fairly narrow, our wide midfielders are pushed out to the sides. These two guys have to be good at dribbling and crossing, just like our wingers were, but also at passing inside to feet. Our playmaker has to be the most creative, technical, and intelligent player on the team. His passing range is the biggest of all the players. He's the guy who pulls the strings. He controls the tempo of the game and determines how quickly the team attacks. The 8 has to be dynamic. That's why we call it the box-to-box role. They need to be good at covering ground and closing down opponents in the defensive half, but also bursting forward and arriving late into the box on the attack. He's like the runner. The number 10 is more of an artist. He's got the ball at his feet. He's looking to pick apart the defense with incisive passes. Who remembers what we said about playmakers in part 1? They're usually smaller, less physical players who float around the final third waiting for opportunities to split defenses. Unlike the 6, our 10 has plenty of space to work in. Notice how far away he is from his own goal. If he has the ball here, he can take his time. He can scan and pick out a pass. He has a few options. He could pass it wide to our wingers who are now overlapping, or he could play a killer through ball to our striker. Instead, he does something amazing. He looks up, sees our winger making a diagonal run, plays a perfectly weighted pass over the top, and look how far he sends him. The spacing between the defenders is perfect. Our striker peels away from his marker, creating a little pocket of space. With a shoulder, he knocks the ball past his defender and has a clear run at goal. Now, of course, as the last man, our center back will come across to cover. Our striker knows this. He lays the ball off to our winger, who cuts it back for our other forward making a late run from deep. As I'm sure you've noticed, this is a constant theme in football. A player makes a late run from deep and arrives unmarked in the box. How is this possible? Well, when you're a box-to-box midfielder, it takes you a couple of seconds to get up the field after winning the ball back. By the time you're in the opposition half, our striker is already making a run. This is called making a third-man run. You remember we mentioned that last time. Now our winger needs to make a decision. Should he cross or cut it back? We'll talk about this in part 4, but for now, just notice how this tiny little receiving angle opens up the whole pitch. Our striker has so much space to run into. Look at how far he gets in behind the defense. Without that initial pass from our winger, he would never have been able to get there. And that's the beauty of the game. 1 second, everything's normal. Next second, a tiny movement opens up a world of opportunities. To fully understand what's happening here, you've got to understand a few key things. First, you need to understand scanning, the way he orientates his body and the weight of his pass. All of these things we covered in part 1, but let's review them quickly. Scanning is how you decide which passing option to pick. Body orientation is how you face up against your opponent to dictate where they can and can't go. And the weight of your pass is how hard you hit the ball. Now that you've got those basics down, you're ready to appreciate what's happening here. This is the same angle as before, only slowed down. Watch how our winger brings the ball towards his body, checking his shoulder to see if our striker is in a good position. Once he knows he is, he plants his right foot, turns his hips, and strikes the ball with the outside of his left foot. Notice how he pushes the ball with the laces on his foot instead of hitting it with his instep. This slows the ball down and curves it nicely out of reach of the defender. Now, if he played a normal pass here, our striker would have too much to do. He'd have to stop the ball, shift it onto his other foot, and then change direction. He might make it, but it's risky. Instead, our winger plays a raking diagonal pass that splits the defense. Our striker reads it perfectly and immediately changes direction. He doesn't even need to control the ball. It's just instinct. It's like muscle memory. He knows exactly how much force to put on his foot without looking. That's because he's done this a million times in training. In this case, practice makes perfect. And voila, there's our goal. And there you have it, another exciting match made easy. Hopefully this helps you understand the difference between the various positions in the middle of the park. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. We'll see you next time. Coming up to you live from the training ground of FC Barcelona, this is the story of how to be an elite attacking side. Our hero, Lionel Messi, gets a runaway pass down the left channel. His pace is too much for the onrushing goalkeeper. It's a 2v1, but our hero squares it for his teammate who tucks it away. Easy peasy. But what does that mean for our players? What are their roles and responsibilities? Let's find out. Our team shape is 4-3-3. We want to dominate possession, and we do so by keeping 2 lines of 3 players each. There are 3 things happening here. A long pass forward to spring our center forward in behind the defense, a quick pass between our wingers to maintain width. And finally, a clever little flick to bring the holding midfielder into play. Now, if you've watched the video about how to defend as a unit, you will know that good pressing starts from the front. So let's draw a simple trap diagram to show you how this works. First, we have our center forward making a run in behind the last man. This forces the central defender to either come out and tackle or stay and risk a breakaway. Next, both wingers press the fullbacks high up and wide. This cuts off passing options and forces them to go back inside. Finally, we have the second striker coming tight to the holding midfielder, forcing him to make a decision. Does he come out and sweep up, or does he stay and get turned? If he comes out, the second striker has a simple pass to the winger, who now has a 2v1 against the outside center half. If he stays, the second striker turns him and lays it off to the other forward, who can either shoot or square it. Simple. Okay, so why do we use 4-3-3? Because it allows us to control the tempo of the game with possession, and it allows us to break in behind the opposition's defensive line with pace. But wait, there's more. Take a look at these stats. When you press high up the pitch, you win the ball back quickly and you create loads of chances. When you press low, you don't concede as many big chances, but you also don't create many chances yourself. Now, these stats were taken from real data of a top European team over a season, so that shows you it works in practice as well. The next shape is 4-2-3-1. There are 3 things happening here. Both strikers combine with one laying it off to the other. The wingers take up an advanced position inside the half spaces to stretch the play. And finally, the holding midfielder makes a diagonal run into the box. Again, if you've watched the video about how to defend as a unit, you will know that good pressing starts from the front. So let's draw a simple trap diagram to show you how this works. First, we have both strikers putting pressure on the opposition's last man. This forces the central defender to either come out and tackle or stay and risk a breakaway. Next, both wingers press the fullbacks high up and wide. This cuts off passing options and forces them to go back inside. Finally, we have the holding midfielder coming to the edge of the box to put pressure on the ball. Now, if you're wondering why I haven't drawn the second striker, it's because he's making a ghost run, staying in between the lines to receive a pass in behind the defense. This creates a 2v2, but it's actually a favorable matchup for us. See, our winger is making a run across the line to stretch the defense, which means our player on the ball has more space to operate in. Plus, our center forward is stronger than the opposition center half. So we have a better matchup in the middle. If they pass to the other side, we still have our second striker covering that area. If they pass sideways, we have our winger making a near post run. And if they go direct to the other forward, we have our center half covering. All in all, a very good pressing trigger. Alright, so why do we use 4-2-3-1? Because it allows us to be flexible in our approach to breaking down low blocks. By having a second striker, we can stretch the play, overload areas, and create overloads out wide. Finally, we have the shape 3-5-2. There are three things happening here. Our two strikers combine. One lays it off to the other. The wingbacks tuck inside to form a back four. And finally, our advanced midfielders make runs into the box. Now again, if you've watched the video about how to defend as a unit, you will know that good pressing starts from the front. So let's draw a simple trap diagram to show you how this works. First, we have both strikers putting pressure on the opposition's last man. This forces the central defender to either come out and tackle or stay and risk a breakaway. Next, both wingbacks press the fullbacks high up and wide. This cuts off passing options and forces them to go back inside. Finally, we have both advanced midfielders making a diagonal run to the edge of the box to put pressure on the ball. Now, if you're wondering why I haven't drawn the holding midfielder, it's because he's making a ghost run, staying in between the lines to receive a pass in behind the defense. This creates a 2v2, but it's actually a favorable matchup for us. See, our wingback is making a run far post to stretch the defense, which means our player on the ball has more space to operate in. Plus, our center forward is stronger than the opposition center half, so we have a better matchup in the middle. If they pass to the other side, we still have our second striker covering that area. If they pass sideways, we have our advanced midfielder covering. If they go direct to the other forward, we have our center half covering. All in all, a very good pressing trigger. Alright, so why do we use 3-5-2? Because it allows us to have an extra man in midfield, which helps us control the tempo of the game and break down compact defenses. It also gives us an extra body going forward, which stretches the play and creates overloads out wide. Now, before we wrap up, let's talk about the movements within the attacking third. First, you might notice that we have two players making runs across the line. This is a great way to stretch the defense and create passing options. Next, we have two players making near post runs and two players making far post runs. This is important because it gives our players different options when they cut the ball back. Finally, we have two players making diagonal runs towards the penalty spot. This is a good way to get in behind the defense and create chances. To sum it up, the center forward has one job when it matters most, to make runs in behind the last man. The false nine has one job when it matters most, to drop deep and link up the play. The wingers have one job when it matters most, to stretch the play and cross the ball. The second striker has one job when it matters most, to make runs in behind the defense, and the six has one job when it matters most, to shield the ball and protect the back four. Now you can apply these principles to any team, no matter what division they are in. If you liked the video, please leave a comment below with which position you'd like us to cover next. Also, check out my new channel. We are 30 days into making football videos, so please check out the end screen to see the next episode. Thanks for watching.